And I would hear women, wiser women say, pick your battle, pick your battle. But when you're young, you're like, what does that mean? This person is getting on my nerves. Like, do I not say anything? Like, what does that mean? Pick your battles. It's really the things that are what I call acceptable flaws. It's in my book. But there's certain things you can live with. Honestly, you can live with those things, but it's not big enough for you to make a big deal about it. But on the flip side, hey you guys, welcome to my channel. This is Krista Nicole, also known as Bold Krista Nicole, Truth for the Soul. Okay, so it's been a minute since I've done a video. I've been super busy, but today I am about to give you guys 13 tips on how to be a quality woman. This is specific for women, but it can apply to men as well. And this can go across all different types of relationships. This can be applied to romantic relationships. It can be applied to friendships. It can also be applied to business partners too. All right, so it's not one type of relationship in particular, but if you are in a relationship, or even if you're married or you're soon to be married or engaged, these are 13 tips to make you a quality woman. A new one, quality women, all right? So here are the 13 tips. All right, what makes a high quality woman? Number one, being his peace, okay, and bringing more peace. You wanna be a man's peace and bring him more peace. Now, I'm not saying be his peace completely, totally. He should have a level of peace that he is walking in already, but your presence should bring more peace. You should always have the mindset of, how can I make this day better? How can I make life better? How can I make this moment better? How can I bring peace to this person's environment, or bring more peace to this person's environment? So number one is being his peace and even bringing more peace, okay? But you wanna be dealing with someone who's already in a peaceful place in their lives, okay? A peaceful state of mind, all right? Number two is helping each other level up one step at a time, okay? You wanna help each other, okay? We all have, even if you're super successful in your own right, based on your definition of success, there's always another level. God is always wanting us to go to our next level in him, because he wants us to continue to strive, to need him and to want him and to desire him to guide us. So there's always going to be another level. So you want to help each other get to your next level. And it's important that they're doing the same for you. Okay, so in order to do that, you have to know that you're not where you exactly want to be, but you are executing an actual plan to get there. Even if you've accomplished a lot of great things in life, again, there's another level that you can get to. And I think that's going to always be the case. Even when you're old and wrinkled, there's always going to be something that you can try to acquire in your older days. So it doesn't really matter where you are in life. What matters is you're continuing to work on yourself, get better all the time, and you want to be that for the other person. You want to help them become a better person, and it should go both ways, vice versa. Okay, so that's number two. Number three is being a constant encourager. Okay, always be encouraging. You know, we all have negative thoughts. People get on our nerves, let's be real. But there's always something that you could say that's going to be encouraging for that person. And so keeping that on your mind, being that person who is the cheerleader, the encourager, is very important, especially women when it comes to dealing with men. You want to be their cheerleader. You want to be an encouraging person that they look forward to talking to, they look forward to reaching out to, because you're always going to give them something positive to hold on to and to encourage them. And it should also go the other way around, vice versa. That person should be an encourager as well, to some degree in their own way. Okay? And number four is never speaking in a disrespectful tone. Tone is everything. Okay? And when I also mean not just the way you sound when you're talking to a man or a business partner or a friend even, but also what you're saying as well. You want to stay away from what I call dirty fighting. Dirty fighting is name calling, you know, hitting below the belt, things like that. You never want to go there, because when you damage a relationship in that way, it is very, very hard to repair it. So you want to just stay away from that. If you find yourself getting that hot, that heated, that upset, you know, you have to take a breather. You have to take a breather. And we're going to talk about self-control, but you have to take a breather. Make sure that you understand how powerful your words are and how important your words are. And words shape lives. Words shape our world, okay? You can speak life or you can speak death. That is the God-given authority God has given us. So you want to use your words wisely. Never use your words to tear down. We're going to get to that one, but never use your words to tear down. Always be very mindful and take it very seriously, the choice words that you use, even in heated moments, okay? Very, very important, all right? And also the tone. Very important to speak in a soft tone, you know, so you can be heard. You know, men tend to shut down aggressive behaviors. Energy is another word. We're going to do a video about energy, okay? Because that's just another way of saying a specific type of spirit. But you want to be mindful of your tone when you're talking to, you know, your man or a guy, or even in business. Just always be mindful of your tone so you can be heard, basically. And it's okay to be passionate, but just make sure that, you know, you're not yelling, basically, pretty much. And you also want to make sure you're not being disrespectful. It's just not necessary. Take it from me, it's just not necessary. If that person is disrespectful to the point where you want to become disrespectful, that's not a good match. It's not a match for you. Watch my video on that one. The first one I did, or second one. But basically, just know, I think it's in the one to talk about ghosting, but just know it's just not a match for you. So let it go, keep it moving. There should be no disrespect in any type of relationship that you're in, okay? Number 5 is telling him in a direct, respectful way when he's wrong, and not being too weak or intimidated to speak on what he's doing wrong. You gotta have the yin and the yang. You gotta have someone, men as well as women, have to have someone that can be honest with them and tell them the truth. Whether they want to hear it or not, you're doing a disjustice to them by not telling them the truth. So you definitely want to be someone that can tell the truth, you know, in a very respectful way when he's wrong, you know, and not be too weak to do that. You know, it's nothing worse than a yes person, someone that always agrees with everything you say, never tells you the truth, because let's be real, you're going to be wrong sometimes. He's going to be wrong sometimes. So you want to be that person that can tell them the truth when they need to hear it in a respectful way. The other key part to this is make it private. Very, very important. Very important to make it private. Never embarrass the person. Never say something in group settings where, you know, it's inappropriate. Take them to the side, wait till you get home. Whatever you need to do, make that moment a private moment, all right? You don't want to demasculate a man by showing, you know, correcting him in his flaws in public. It's just not, it's not respectful. It's not respectful, period. And it goes both ways. If you're wrong, he should be telling you in private as well, in a respectful way. Just have a discussion about it and you will learn something. That's the beautiful part about relationships, partnerships, is you get to learn from each other, because you're not always going to be right and you're not always going to have the right perspective on things. So it's very important to be able to do that and not be too weak to do that. Nobody wants somebody so weak, so intimidated for whatever reason that you can't tell them the truth. And if they're intimidating you, you need to look at that. You need to check that. Why don't I feel free enough to be this person's friend, to be honest with them in certain situations? Check on that. Make sure that there's nothing that that person is giving off to make you kind of shut down or not be able to express, you know, something that could help them. Because otherwise, what's the point? We're here to help each other grow. So it's very important to be able to do that and do it respectfully in private. Number 6 is keep your tone soft, especially when he is upset or disappointed. If he's already hot, he's already riled up, you getting riled up is only going to make the situation unnecessarily dramatic. Just keep it soft. You know, if this person is already upset, this person's already going through something, they're already disappointed, the best thing you can do is keep your tone soft and hear them out and listen. You know, let them vent. Number 7 is keep your private moments private, okay? Do not go around talking about your personal business, period. There's nothing worse. I never understood this. I have never understood this, why women go to salons and talk about how good their sex lives are, or how and then they wonder why they're dealing with Jezebel spirits, and why you're opening the door. You're opening the door for women to lust over your man, envy your relationship. You're attracting and opening the door for demonic jealous spirits. For what? Keep those private moments private, whether it's in the sexual category, whether it's, you know, things that he shared with you privately and vice versa. But if it's a private moment, keep it a private moment. There's no need to discuss it. That is a horrible behavior that I've seen even, you know, in movies. It's even been demonstrated in movies. The infamous salon scene where the woman is talking about how good her man is, and et cetera, et cetera. For what? That's not wisdom. It's simply not wisdom to let women in on all the amazing things that should be private that your man does. Whether it's, you know, I mean, to some degree you can talk about, oh, he brought me flowers. But even with that, use discretion, use wisdom. It's not always necessary to say that depending on who's around. So use discretion, use wisdom, and make sure that you're not saying too much. You're not speaking too much on those private moments. In fact, don't even do it at all. It's not even necessary. If you have a super, super close friend, those are the ones, in a lot of scenarios, you usually hear about betrayal between two girlfriends or two guys when someone in that friendship is constantly revealing private, intimate moments. Stay away from that. You know, it's really not necessary. If it's something that you go public with together, you went on a nice date, the world knows, you posted it, then so be it. But if it's, you know, if it's something that you're not necessarily putting out there in the public, try to stay away from oversharing, you know, and especially your private moments. Keep them private. Number 8 kind of goes with number 4, not speaking in a disrespectful tone or fighting dirty. But number 8 is never tear him down with words. Okay, we already kind of touched on the importance of words, the impact of words, but you never, ever, ever want to tear down a man with words, or with your body language, or with your behavior. But we're talking specifically about words. Use choice words. What is the point of trying to build a house at the same time chip away at the wall, just destroying the side of the wall while you're trying to build this big, beautiful, amazing house? It makes zero sense. So you want to stay away from tearing down a man with your words. I'll give you some practical examples, you know, because these are human examples. You know, we're in a world where we text a lot. If you know that you got something smart to say, because I'm the queen of smartness. If you got something smart to say, and we're going to go into self-control too, but if you got something smart to say or something that's not uplifting, hold back on that. It's nothing worse than someone reaching out for a loving comment back, or just to be nice and sweet, and then you hit them with something that tears them down, that they didn't see coming. Then it makes them regret reaching out to you. So you want to just stay away from any words that are negative, that tears a person down. If you don't like something that they're doing, and we're going to go into that as well, you know, hold off on it. Hold off on it. One of the wisest things you can do is discuss any type of issues through a conversation. Text is the worst way to try to either address a situation, revisit a situation, or go into detail about anything that's bothering you. So stay away from text messages that kind of go in that direction, and just keep it uplifting, keep it positive. But the key thing is, don't tear them down with your words, especially via text in the world that we live in, okay? And they can reread that. So why would you want them to have that in their phone? Think about it. All right. Okay, so my next one is number 9, and it's called timing maturity. Understand what timing maturity is. Just think about it. Timing maturity. It's the term I came up with. But it's basically understanding the critical significance of timing for everything. Everything is about timing. You want to think about what's going on in the situation. Is it smart to bring this up at this moment? Is this the right time to talk about this or to talk about that? And I'll give you an example, which is kind of like my next one. One of the examples that come to me is never discuss issues while he's at work or just getting off work. It's an example of timing, but it's also a tip. Never discuss issues while he's at work or just getting off work. Think about your state of mind when you're at work. Do you really want to deal with any type of issues, personal issues? Not necessarily. Do you really want to deal with personal issues as soon as you get off work and you're trying to unwind and debrief from the day? Not necessarily. So be very mature. Think in a mature way when it comes to timing, and I call that timing maturity. Another thing is knowing the right time and place to discuss any concerns or issues. Timing is everything. I'll repeat that. Knowing the right time and place to discuss any concerns or issues. It's very, very important because, again, timing is everything. So you don't want to bring up an issue, right before someone goes and has a speaking engagement. You don't want to bring up an issue right before work. That person has to switch mindsets and deal with the things they deal with at work. You don't want to bring up certain issues when, you're getting ready to go out and have a good time. So these are things that you can control, number 1. And 2, things that you can think about when it comes to just being mature. Understand the importance of timing. 1, it helps for what you're saying to be received if it's done in the right timing. And then 2, you don't ruin a person's day or start their day off bad or end their day bad or, mess up a situation where you're set out to go and have a good time. Everything doesn't have to be brought up the minute you think about it. Table it. Have that kind of mindset and practice to learn how to time things, learn how to table things, okay? Timing is everything. All right, so my next point is self-control. You already knew I was going there. Having self-control. Having self-control, I'll repeat, have self-control, all right? I'm going to give you, again, a primary example of what having self-control looks like in our day and age. Not texting everything that you're thinking, especially if it's not to edify. So that goes with my other point, but that's an example of having self-control. Not saying everything you want to say when you want to say it. So they're kind of all intertwined to some degree, knowing the right place to talk, not saying any type of correction in public settings, but just having that self-control will definitely strengthen your relationship. It will definitely bring levels of respect that are necessary, especially in relationships that are moving towards marriage or engagement, and even in partnerships and business. You want to really be very conscious of having self-control and not always saying what you're thinking in that moment. It's very important to do that, but as we've already covered and as we've already discussed, there's a place for it. There is private moments that you can have those things, those discussions, and you do want to be real with the person, but it has to be in the right way, the right tone, the right manner. And self-control is a huge one that you're going to need in order to really build that respect that you want in your relationship. And the last one that I'm going to give you guys is leave the small issues small and be honest about what really matters to you, whether that's big or small, versus nitpicking things that you honestly don't even care about. Let the stuff go that, you know how they say, pick your battles? I used to be married for a very long time, and I would hear women, you know, wiser women say, pick your battle, pick your battle. But when you're young, you're like, what does that mean? This person is getting on my nerves. Like, do I not say anything? Like, what does that mean? Pick your battles. It's really the things that are what I call acceptable flaws. It's in my book. But there's certain things you can live with. Honestly, you can live with those things, but it's not big enough for you to make a big deal about it. But on the flip side, even though you want to leave the small things small, you also want to be honest about what really bothers you. Now, that can look big or small from the other person's perspective, but it's very, very important to bring those things up and be honest about them. The one thing you don't want to do is let something fester, because they're trying to make it something that's not a big deal, so you just hold it in and it festers. No, have a serious, respectable, soft tone conversation about it and work it out. But be honest, because people can't read your mind. So if they don't know that this really bothers you, then they can't really make any adjustments to their behavior. If they truly, truly care about you, they'll make the adjustments. If they don't care about you, let's be honest, and you bring up these things that matter to you, that affect you, whether they understand it or not, if they're not willing to listen and make those adjustments, then it's time for you to really assess the relationship and see if this is for you, if this person cares enough about you. Now, don't pick the petty things to make a factor in this case. Don't pick things that are not necessarily deal breakers. But if it's something that you find a big deal for you, let's say in the area of respect, maybe in our social media world, you might find it disrespectful to like women's posts. You know, it could be anything. We're in a digital era. It could be anything, okay? It could be, you know, I don't know, the way a man gives women attention. I don't know what it is. It depends on the person. But whatever that is, if it's bothering you, be honest about it and talk to him about it in a very respectful, soft tone so that he can know how you feel. And again, if he truly loves you and cares about you, he's going to take heed to that. And he may, you know, even better, he'll understand where you're coming from by putting himself in your shoes. So sometimes it's just a matter of putting that person thinking about it from your perspective, from your angle, from your position, in order to really look in the mirror in regards to that particular behavior. So just got to have that honest conversation sometimes. Okay. All right. So the last thing I want to leave you guys is 2 scriptures. The first one is Philippians 4:8. Okay. So this one pretty much talks about on what type of things to meditate on. Now, in the real world, you're not like, okay, let me meditate on Philippians 4:8 before I go and have a date with this guy or go spend time with this guy or, you know, in his presence. But if you are doing this for your own life, if you are really practicing how to control your mind, control your thoughts in your own life, this will transfer over to your time with this person. So if this is your mindset, that person's going to automatically benefit from it. Philippians 4:8 says, "Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue, power, and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things." Okay, meditate on these things. So you can meditate on what's lovely. It makes you a lovelier person. You can meditate on what is just. It makes you, a pretty just person, someone who likes justice, and the people doing the right thing, and it helps you, your advice to that person. It helps you, your perspective that's going to ultimately help that person. Just your view in life in general. Whatever things are pure, it's going to keep you from, if you're unmarried, falling into temptation. I mean, we're man and woman. Yes, there's natures that are at work. But if you're constantly thinking, okay, what's pure? Let me play this gospel song. What's pure? Let me look at a sermon, or, watch a nice movie, or whatever the case is. Whatever's pure, all right? Whatever's pure. If you're thinking about those pure things, beautiful things, pure things that are not ungodly, okay, and in our flesh, then it's going to translate and it's going to transfer into that relationship with that person. And it's going to make you more pleasant to be around, and quality as well. These are what's good reports. If you're thinking of good reports all the time, you're meditating on what's a good report. This whole book, the Bible, is a good report. Okay, so talking about the scriptures, talking about things that you learned, talking about things that you meditated on in your personal study time. Those are things that are a good report. Positive outlooks, positive expectations on what you're expecting. Those are good reports, So if you're constantly thinking about those things in your own time, in your own personal life, it's going to definitely resonate when you're spending time with that person. It's definitely going to show. All right, guys. All right, so the next scripture is Galatians 5:22-23. Now, again, these are scriptures that you should have memorized, that you should be meditating on. And I probably could say this without looking at the Bible, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to read it. All right, so if you're constantly reading this once in the morning, once every morning, just to renew your mind and put your mind on the fruit of the Spirit. Because if you're constantly meditating on this, it's going to dictate to your actions. It's going to dictate to your behavior. And if it dictates to your behavior and you start to see the fruit of the Spirit in your personal life, that is going to benefit everybody that you're around. Trust me. All right, so Galatians 5:22-23 says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. And those who are in Christ have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires." Meditating on the Word of God, you're going to start to exhibit the fruit of the Spirit, okay? One fruit of the Spirit, which encompasses all of this: love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. If you're constantly meditating on this for your own personal life, it's going to benefit, like I said, that your relationship across the board. So make sure you're working on you, okay? That is key. Make sure you're working on you. You are already a quality woman. You need these tips sometimes. You need someone with wisdom to kind of give you these tips so you don't have to learn so much through trial and error. And that is the purpose of this video. So thank you so much for watching. I pray that you got something out of this on how to conduct yourself, how to be a quality woman, and have at least 13 really good tips to kind of really monitor your behavior so that you can be the quality woman that God has already created you to be. Love you guys. See you soon.